And I just want to record this moment because I want to remember how hard it took, how much work I had to work for this. Didn't put no oil on the jacket. It's crazy. Over here trying to cut weight, be positive, stay disciplined. I'm a little hungry. I'm a little hungry. I'm a lot hungry. And I want to be in shape. So I'm going to go walk 3 miles, weigh in. Hopefully I'm at 166. Stay humble. Stay humble. You're doing this for your son. You're doing this for your ministry. You're doing this for God. You're doing this for your family. It's sold out. So everything is creeping into me. Like, it's a lot now. I don't know why I'm crying. I'm hungry, but it's not really. I'm not that hungry, but I do want some food. Like some french fries, some spaghetti, something. Like, this boxing stuff hurts. And I just want to record this moment because I want to remember how hard it took.
Chrisean Rock is back in the spotlight again, but this time it's not the usual chaos, confidence, or fight hype energy the internet is used to seeing this time. It's something far more vulnerable and far more unsettling for fans who thought they had seen every version of her already. Because right before her upcoming fight, Chrisean Rock was reportedly seen in an emotional breakdown that completely shifted the tone of her entire preparation. And at the center of it all is her child, baby Jardot, what was supposed to be fight. Week hype suddenly turned into emotional chaos when clips surfaced showing her crying and visibly overwhelmed ahead of competition. Not aggressive energy, not promotional intensity, but raw emotion breaking through in a way that instantly changed how people were reacting online. And once that moment hit social media, it didn't just trend, it detonated. Within hours, the internet turned into a battlefield of opinions. Some viewers called it motherhood pressure meeting fight camp stress in the most intense way possible. Others said it looks like emotional overload building under the weight of everything happening at once. And of course, the internet did what it always does best: take a deeply personal moment and turn it into a global discussion thread with no off switch. But what really shook fans wasn't just the crying. It was the context people assumed behind it, because as soon as Baby Jr. was mentioned in the conversation, the narrative instantly became more emotional, more sensitive, and far more explosive. And suddenly, this wasn't just about a fight anymore, it was about pressure, identity, and emotional responsibility all colliding at the worst possible timing. And just when it looks like the internet has already reached peak reaction mode, new discussions begin surfacing suggesting this emotional moment might be connected to something even deeper happening behind the scenes before fight night. And now the biggest question hanging over everything is simple. Is this just emotional pressure before a major fight, or is this the moment where everything finally starts to crack in real time? And the answer might be closer than anyone expects. The build-up to Chrisean Rock's fight didn't begin with emotional breakdowns. It began with expectation, hype, and non-stop attention from the internet. From the moment the fight was announced, audiences locked in with a familiar mindset, chaos, intensity, and unpredictable energy leading into fight night. That's the version of Chrisean people thought they were getting. But behind the scenes, a completely different narrative was forming, one that was far more emotionally layered than the public ever expected. Training started like any structured fight camp would. Workouts were intense, conditioning was strict, and preparation followed a disciplined routine designed to build performance readiness. At first, everything looked controlled from the outside. Clips showed focus, determination, and the typical grind expected from someone preparing for competition. But as time progressed, the emotional weight behind the preparation started becoming harder to ignore. The biggest turning point came during the weight management phase of training. That's where physical discipline and emotional strain often collide in ways that are not always visible in highlight clips. Reduced intake, strict routines, and constant physical demands slowly begin reshaping the athlete's daily reality. And while everything may still look structured externally, internally the pressure starts building in ways the camera doesn't fully capture. Over time, subtle changes started becoming noticeable in circulating clips, moments of quiet after training, sessions, longer pauses between workouts, expressions that looked more reflective than usual. None of these were dramatic on their own, but together they started forming a pattern fans couldn't ignore. And once the internet notices a pattern, it rarely lets it go without turning it into a narrative. Then came the emotional wave that shifted everything completely. Clips surfaced showing Chrisean visibly overwhelmed, breaking down emotionally ahead of her upcoming fight. And in the middle of that emotional moment, baby Junior became part of the conversation, instantly intensifying the entire narrative. Because when motherhood enters an already high-pressure storyline, the emotional stakes multiply instantly online. The moment spread across social media almost immediately. There was no slow build-up, no gradual reaction cycle. It exploded. Comment sections filled with concern, debate, empathy, and speculation all at once. Some users expressed support, calling it a deeply human moment under extreme pressure. Others began questioning whether the emotional strain reflects something deeper happening behind the scenes, and that's where the internet split into completely different directions. One side viewed it as a natural emotional release before a high-intensity fight. They emphasized that athletes often experience emotional peaks during extreme preparation phases. The other side focused on the visible breakdown, interpreting it as a sign of mounting pressure that might be harder to manage than expected. Meanwhile, older clips resurfaced almost instantly. Training footage, quiet moments, and previous emotional reactions were all pulled back into circulation, and suddenly everything was being reinterpreted under this new emotional lens. What once looked like normal preparation now appeared more layered in hindsight. That's how viral narratives evolve, not through new events, but through reinterpreting old ones. The phrase that began circulating alongside this moment only intensified the conversation further. It became a symbol across platforms, used in both serious and ironic contexts depending on the audience. And once a moment gains that kind of dual identity online, it stops belonging to the original context completely. It becomes cultural content instead of personal experience. As discussions expanded, commentary channels and reaction pages quickly amplified the situation. Some treated it as a psychological breakdown analysis tied to fight preparation pressure. Others framed it as emotional storytelling unfolding in real time, similar to reality TV intensity arcs. And a few leaned fully into chaotic comparison mode, blending sports drama with entertainment spectacle framing. Each interpretation added another layer to an already overloaded narrative. At this stage, Chrisean Rock was no longer just preparing for a fight in the public eye. She had become the center of a much larger emotional conversation about pressure, identity, motherhood, and visibility under constant public scrutiny. And as Fight Week continues approaching, that conversation only grows more intense, more divided, and more unpredictable with every passing update. By the time the second wave of reactions hits the timeline, the situation has already evolved far beyond a simple emotional clip. What started as a moment of vulnerability quickly turned into a full-scale internet narrative that everyone seems to have an opinion on. And the most chaotic part is that nobody is reacting to the same version of the story anymore. Everyone is building their own interpretation based on fragments, edits, and commentary loops. And that's exactly how digital chaos multiplies itself. Memes are the first layer of escalation. The emotional breakdown clip gets reshaped into reaction formats across platforms almost instantly. Some users turn it into humor, others use it for exaggerated empathy edits, and some remove context entirely to make it fit unrelated situations. But underneath all of that, the emotional core of the moment still lingers in the background, because not every viral moment can be fully reduced to a joke. Commentary channels jump in quickly after that, sports-focused creators break it down. Through the lens of fight camp psychology and emotional pressure under competition conditions, entertainment pages frame it like ongoing reality TV storytelling, where emotional arcs build toward unpredictable outcomes. And pop culture commentators go even further, comparing it to chaotic crossover narratives where personal life, performance, and public pressure collide. Every version adds something new, but none of them fully define what is actually happening inside fan communities. The divide becomes even more intense. One group focuses on emotional understanding, pointing out that motherhood combined with fight preparation creates unique psychological pressure. They view the breakdown as a deeply human response to overwhelming circumstances. The other group takes a more analytical stance, suggesting the emotional reaction could signal heightened stress levels during the final stages of preparation. And neither side is willing to step back from their interpretation. As the debate spreads, older content starts resurfacing again, previous training clips, emotional moments, and quiet behind-the-scenes footage are pulled back into circulation. And now, instead of being seen as isolated moments, they're being connected into a continuous emotional timeline. That's how internet storytelling works. It reconstructs meaning retroactively, not based on what happened, but based on what people believe is happening. Meanwhile, the Baby Junior angle adds another emotional layer to the entire discussion. For many viewers, it reframes the situation entirely, turning it from a fight prep story into a deeper emotional narrative involving responsibility, identity, and pressure. And once that shift happens, the tone of conversation changes instantly. It becomes less about competition and more about emotional interpretation. But what really fuels the chaos is how fast content is circulating. A single clip generates thousands of reactions within hours. A short emotional moment becomes a full discussion thread across multiple platforms. And every interpretation adds fuel to the next wave of commentary. It becomes a self-sustaining cycle that doesn't need official updates to keep going. Even neutral observers get pulled into the conversation, not because of confirmed facts, but because of how emotionally charged the narrative has become. People start debating intention, meaning, and context as if they are part of the original moment. And that's when viral storytelling crosses into collective participation. As Fight Week approaches, anticipation increases, but so does emotional sensitivity. Every new update feels more significant than the last. Every clip carries more weight than it should, and every silence becomes something people try to decode. The narrative keeps building itself, even without new developments. At this stage, the story is no longer just about a fight. It has become a layered emotional conversation that continues expanding through interpretation, reaction, and speculation. And it is still far from reaching its final form. As Fight Week finally closes in, the entire atmosphere surrounding Chrisean Rock's preparation reaches a much more intense and emotionally charged stage. What began as a typical fight announcement has now evolved into a multi-layered viral storyline that the internet is tracking like a live unfolding series. Every update feels heavier. Every clip feels more meaningful. And every moment feels like it carries narrative weight beyond the surface. That's what happens when anticipation becomes part of the story itself, inside the training environment. Discipline and structure reportedly remain consistent. Workouts continue, conditioning remains demanding, and preparation stays focused on performance readiness. But as any fighter approaches Fight Week, emotional and physical fatigue naturally becomes more noticeable. Recovery becomes more important, focus becomes more narrow, and mental pressure becomes harder to ignore. And when that happens under public observation, everything becomes amplified online. Fans following the situation now view every detail as part of a continuous emotional timeline. Older clips are being rewatched, new updates are being compared to previous moments, and every expression is being analyzed as part of a bigger pattern. That creates a narrative where nothing exists independently anymore. Everything becomes connected. In the audience's interpretation, The emotional moment tied to Baby Jr. continues to be a major point in discussions. For some, it symbolizes emotional vulnerability under pressure. For others, it reflects deeper psychological weight building during fight preparation. And for many, it simply represents a human moment that became amplified by internet attention. But regardless of interpretation, it remains central to the ongoing conversation. Commentary channels continue expanding the narrative in multiple directions. Sports analysts focus on mental readiness and fight psychology. Entertainment creators frame it as emotional storytelling unfolding in real time. And pop culture commentators treat it like a chaotic crossover event where reality, performance, and personal life collide. Each version adds another layer of complexity without resolving the core interpretation. Speculation continues quietly in the background as well, without official confirmation. Viewers keep forming theories about emotional pressure, preparation, intensity, and the mental demands of fight camp. Some see emotional moments as normal under extreme conditions, others view them as signs of increasing strain as competition approaches. And both interpretations continue existing side by side. At this point, Chrisean Rock has become more than a fighter in public perception. She has become part of a larger conversation about emotional visibility, pressure under observation, and the human side of competitive preparation. Because once private experiences become public content, they stop being just moments, they become narratives, and narratives evolve based on interpretation, not confirmation. As anticipation builds toward fight night, tension increases naturally. But so does uncertainty, because no one knows how preparation will translate into performance until the moment arrives, and that uncertainty keeps the conversation alive across every platform. Right now, everything is still building toward that final moment where preparation ends and reality takes over. And until then, the story continues unfolding in real time, shaped by clips, reactions, and the internet itself. Alright, let's be real for a second. This is no longer just a fight prep update. It's officially turned into a full internet emotional roller coaster that refuses to slow down. Every clip gets analyzed like hidden meaning is buried inside it. Every emotion turns into a theory thread. And every silence somehow becomes louder than the actual footage. The internet really took one emotional moment and built a whole storyline around it. Now I need your honest opinion. What do you think is actually happening here? Is this just normal fight camp pressure mixed with personal emotion that's getting overanalyzed? Or is there something deeper going on that people are picking up on through these clips? Because the comment section is already split into completely different narratives. And neither side is backing down. Drop your thoughts below. Because at this point, the audience is basically part of the story. Every comment adds fuel. Every reaction keeps the discussion alive. And every theory pushes it further into chaos territory. And if you're still watching this unfold, you're not just observing anymore, you're officially locked into the storyline, whether you plan to be or not. So go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. Disappeared for weeks and just came back acting like nothing happened. No hesitation, no mercy, just pure internet energy. And don't forget to subscribe, because this situation is far from finished. As Fight Week approaches, things are only going to get more emotional, more intense, and more unpredictable across every platform. And you already know the next update is going to hit your feed before you even finish scrolling. Stay tuned, stay locked in, and keep those notifications on, because when this story moves again, you'll want to see it first. This has been Fame Flaws.